Hello, beautiful ladies. Let's talk about that moment right before intimacy. He's close, so close you can feel his heartbeat. The subtle tension in his body, the way his breath quickens when he's near you. That moment right before intimacy is fragile, charged, and magnetic. And the words you whisper here can completely change everything. It's not just desire he feels. It's connection, validation, and the thrill of being seen by you. Imagine leaning in, your lips almost brushing, and softly saying exactly what he's been craving to hear. Words that ignite his anticipation, pull him into the present, and make him feel chosen, wanted, and utterly captivated by you. These are the words that turn chemistry into intimacy, that transform fleeting desire into something unforgettable. Today, I'm going to reveal the 5 words every man secretly craves to hear right before sex. Words that make him melt inside and crave you like never before. When you say I want you, you're not just speaking desire, you're creating a moment that feels slow, intentional, and deeply intoxicating. These words don't rush him. They don't push. They pull. They wrap around him like a quiet invitation, one that feels irresistible because it's sincere. In that instant, he feels seen not for what he can do, but for who he is to you. There's something profoundly seductive about clarity. When your voice lowers just a little, when your eyes hold his and you let those words linger between you, you're telling him that this isn't random. It's not accidental. It's chosen. And being chosen is one of the most powerful aphrodisiacs there is. It tells him he doesn't have to guess your intentions or read between the lines. Your desire is clear, and that certainty is magnetic. I want you also carries confidence, and confidence is alluring in a way nothing else can be. You're not asking for permission to feel what you feel. You're owning it. That ownership awakens something in him, a sense of being invited into your desire rather than having to earn it. He feels welcomed, not tested, desired, not evaluated. And in that safety, his attraction deepens. These words are especially potent because they're intimate without being loud. They don't need drama or theatrics. They're whispered truths meant for him alone. And when a man hears them in that quiet space right before intimacy, his world narrows to you. The room fades. Time slows. All that matters is the connection you're creating together. There's also vulnerability woven into those 3 words. Wanting someone means opening yourself up, letting your guard down just enough to be real. And that vulnerability invites his. He feels trusted. He feels allowed to soften, to be present, to stop performing and simply be with you. That emotional closeness makes the physical closeness feel richer, warmer, more meaningful. What makes I Want You so unforgettable is that it speaks to both desire and acceptance at the same time. You're not just drawn to him, you're comfortable with that desire. You're choosing it. And when a man feels that kind of acceptance, it settles into him. He remembers it. He carries it with him long after the moment has passed. So don't rush these words. Let them breathe. Let them be felt. Say them when the space between you feels charged, when anticipation is already humming softly. Because in that moment, I Want You doesn't just spark attraction, it deepens trust, heightens emotion, and turns intimacy into something slow, romantic, and beautifully consuming. And that's the magic. Sometimes the sexiest thing you can do isn't touch him at all. It's let him know without hesitation that he is deeply, unmistakably wanted by you. When you say, come here, you're doing something quietly powerful. You're inviting him into your space, your energy, your moment. These 2 words are soft, confident, and irresistibly intimate. They don't beg. They don't explain. They simply assume connection. And that assumption is deeply seductive. Come here carries a sense of certainty that men find incredibly attractive. You're not asking if he wants you. You're expressing that you already know he does. There's a calm authority in it, a gentle leadership that says, I'm comfortable wanting you, and I'm comfortable letting you feel wanted by me. That confidence wraps around him like warmth, making him feel welcomed rather than chased. What makes these words so magnetic is how they close distance emotionally before physically. The moment you say them, especially in a low, unhurried tone, you're creating a private world between the 2 of you. It's no longer about what's happening around you. It's about what's happening between you. He feels drawn in, not because he has to be, but because he wants to be exactly where you are. There's also tenderness in come here. It's not aggressive. It's inviting. It tells him that with you, he can relax. He doesn't have to perform or prove himself. He can simply step closer and be received. Men crave that feeling more than they often admit, the feeling of being wanted without pressure, desired without expectation. Timing makes these words even more intoxicating. Right before intimacy, anticipation already in the air. Hearts are open, defenses are down. When you say come here in that moment, you're giving him permission to cross that final emotional space. You're telling him you're safe here, you're wanted here, and that sense of safety deepens desire rather than dulling it. There's something beautifully feminine about this phrase. You're not chasing him across the room. You're standing in your energy and inviting him in. That balanced softness with confidence awakens a man's natural instinct to move toward you. It feels effortless. It feels natural. It feels right. And the magic is in the subtlety. These words don't need to be loud to be powerful. A quiet smile, a steady gaze, a gentle pause before you say them. All of that turns come here into a moment. He'll remember, because it wasn't just about proximity, it was about connection. So don't rush it. Let the words linger. Let him feel the invitation before he even takes a step. Because when you say, come here with presence and intention, you're not just calling him closer to your body, you're calling him closer to you. And that kind of closeness, it's slow, it's romantic, and it's unforgettable. When you say, I feel safe with you, you're touching something far deeper than desire. You're reaching into a man's emotional core. These words don't shout. They don't seduce loudly. They sink in. They tell him that in your presence, his strength is felt, his intentions are trusted, and his energy is grounding to you. And that is incredibly powerful. For a man, safety isn't about control, it's about competence. It's about knowing that who he is makes you feel calm, held, and protected on an emotional level. When you share that you feel safe with him, especially in a soft, intimate moment, you're telling him that he has created a space where you can relax, open, and be fully yourself. That affirmation awakens a quiet confidence inside him, one that deepens his desire rather than inflates his ego. There's something undeniably sensual about emotional safety. When you say these words, you're letting him know that your guard is down, that you trust his presence, that you're not bracing yourself, you're leaning in. And that vulnerability is magnetic. It invites him closer, not just to your body, but to your heart. It makes intimacy feel slower, warmer, more intentional. These words also soften the moment. Right before intimacy, emotions are already heightened. Breath is closer. Energy is shared. When you tell him you feel safe with him in that space, you're creating a cocoon around the two of you. The outside world fades. Expectations disappear. What's left is connection, real, grounding, deeply human connection. I feel safe with you, tells him that he doesn't need to rush. He doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to perform. He can simply be with you. And when a man feels that kind of permission, his presence becomes deeper, more attentive, more emotionally engaged. Desire stops being about urgency and starts being about closeness. There's also romance in the reassurance these words bring. You're acknowledging his consistency, his steadiness, his emotional availability, even if you don't name those things directly. You're saying who you are makes me feel okay to soften. And for a man, that is profoundly affirming. The beauty of this phrase is in its honesty. It's not a line. It's not a tactic. It's a truth shared in a tender moment. And truths spoken softly are often the sexiest kind. They linger, they stay with him, they echo long after the moment passes. So when you say, I feel safe with you, let it come from stillness, from eye contact, from presence. Because in that moment, you're not just deepening intimacy, you're creating trust, emotional closeness, and a sense of connection that makes everything that follows feel slower, richer, and far more meaningful. When you say, I've been thinking about this, you're lighting a slow, delicious fire in his mind long before anything physical happens. These words carry anticipation, intention, and desire all at once. They tell him that this moment didn't just happen. It was imagined, felt, and wanted, and that realization is deeply intoxicating. There's something incredibly seductive about knowing you've occupied someone's thoughts. When a man hears that you've been thinking about this about him, about the closeness you're about to share, he feels desired on a mental and emotional level, not just a physical one. His confidence swells, not from ego, but from feeling chosen in your inner world. He wasn't just convenient. He was compelling enough to linger in your mind. These words also slow the moment down in the most beautiful way. Instead of rushing forward, they pull him deeper into anticipation. He starts wondering how long you've been thinking about it, What moment sparked it? What feelings grew quietly while he wasn't there? That curiosity makes the connection richer, more layered, more intimate. I've been thinking about this carries a subtle vulnerability too. You're revealing that you allowed yourself to want, that you let your thoughts wander toward him, that you didn't shut the feeling down, you welcomed it. That openness invites him to meet you emotionally, not just physically. It creates a shared secret between you, something unspoken but deeply felt. There's also romance in the intention behind these words. They tell him this moment matters to you, that it's not casual or careless. You're present, you're aware, you're here because you want to be. And that sense of intention transforms intimacy into something slower, warmer, and far more memorable. When spoken softly right before closeness, these words heighten every sensation. They make the space between you feel charged. He becomes more attentive, more present, more connected, because now he knows this moment has been living in your thoughts. Anticipation wraps around him, making everything feel heightened and electric. What makes this phrase so powerful is that it engages his imagination. Men are incredibly responsive to feeling desired mentally. When you let him know you've been thinking about this, you invite him into the story you've already been telling yourself. He feels pulled into your inner world, and that emotional access is incredibly alluring. So let these words be unhurried. Let them linger in the air. Say them when your voices are low and your attention is fully on each other. Because I've been thinking about this doesn't just express desire it builds, it stretches it and makes the moment feel intentional and deeply romantic. And when intimacy begins with anticipation like that, it doesn't just feel good. It feels unforgettable. When you say, I trust you, you're opening a door very few people are ever invited through. These words don't rush the moment, they deepen it. They create a kind of intimacy that feels slow, grounded, and incredibly sensual. Because trust is what allows desire to fully unfold without fear or hesitation. For a man, trust is not just reassuring, it's empowering. When you tell him you trust him, especially right before intimacy, you're saying, I believe in your intention. I feel safe in your presence. I'm choosing to let go with you. That choice carries an emotional weight that instantly changes the energy between you. His attention sharpens, his movements soften. He becomes more present, more careful, more connected. There is something profoundly seductive about being trusted. It makes a man feel capable, steady, and deeply valued. Not for what he can take, but for how he shows up. These words tell him that you're not guarded with him, that you're not bracing yourself, you're leaning in. And that vulnerability invites him to rise emotionally to meet you. I trust you also removes pressure. It tells him he doesn't need to prove himself or rush the moment. He can slow down. He can listen. He can feel. When a man feels trusted, he naturally becomes more attentive, more responsive, more emotionally tuned in. Desire stops being about urgency and becomes about closeness. There's a quiet intimacy in these words that feels incredibly romantic. They're not flashy or dramatic. They're honest. And honesty, when spoken softly in a charged moment, can feel more intoxicating than anything else. It creates a private world between the two of you, a space where walls come down and connection takes over. Trust also deepens sensation. When you feel safe, your body relaxes, your breath slows, your awareness sharpens. By telling him you trust him, you're allowing yourself to be fully present, and that presence is felt. He senses it in your stillness, in your openness, in the way you let the moment unfold instead of controlling it. What makes I trust you so unforgettable is that it lingers. Long after the moment passes, he remembers how it made him feel steady, chosen, respected. Men rarely forget the woman who made them feel trusted, because trust speaks to their character, not just their attraction. So say these words when your voices are low and the space between you feels charged. Let them be unhurried. Let them come from stillness. Because when you say, I trust you, you're not just deepening intimacy, you're creating a bond that feels emotional, romantic, and profoundly connecting. And that kind of closeness doesn't just heighten desire. It transforms it into something meaningful, slow, and beautifully unforgettable. So remember this. Beautiful, the most powerful seduction doesn't start with skin, it starts with certainty. And sometimes all it takes is the right words whispered at the right moment.